All right. Hello everybody to the first artist talk brought to you from the Duet Residency from the metaverse. I'm your host Anubis 3100, and today we will be talking to Death himself. He's on the opposite side of the Discord call, um, and so I'll let
Hello.
Death, yeah, introduce
Uh,
yourself real
Shall I
quick.
introduce?
Yeah.
Of course, man. Yeah. So my name's Nick. I'm from the UK, and I'm an oil painter, slash digital artist slash crypto art. Yeah. So yeah. Just been painting for like 10 years or something. So
Oh wow.
um, yeah. Been painting a while. So yeah.
Damn.
Uh, yeah.
I, I didn't know you've been painting for 10 years. Holy cow.
Yeah, I think I started when I was about 25, and I'm going to be 35 this y- y- year. So yeah,
Oh wow.
been yeah.
Dude, well, so what paintings do you have that we have not seen so far? Oh, we got 10 years.
Yeah, like when I first started painting, it was uh like I kind of started because it kind of helped with my mental like sort of state.
Mm,
So like I wasn't painting to like sell them. It was just like an activity to just sort of help me out.
mm.
Um, so I was painting every single day. So in storage, I've got about 200 paintings because
Oh
yeah,
my god.
yeah, and a lot of them are like ones that I wouldn't really want to sell because I personally don't think that they're good enough. So
Wow.
yeah.
Dude, I like and I thought my little like studio corner full of unfinished paintings and like finished paintings was a lot. 200. Holy fuck. Damn.
Yeah, I did have a Excel sort of database of them all. So and that was about 2 years ago. It was on about like 240 something. So
Damn.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. Shit. Well, I'm, I, I should say people who don't know, essentially like, so I at least from my own university experience, I learned that essentially like hard practice is the key. Even for like like you said, you wanted to do this with not to sell anything, but just like to help with mental health, and it just that daily use of it, like holy fuck, 200 over 240 paintings. That's insane, man. Wow.
yeah.
I, I one day I'll get to that number, hopefully.
I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah,
So much money on oil paints.
yeah. And they're just like kind of like sat in a room like gathering dust and stuff. So it's just like
Yeah.
yeah.
Funny enough, it's my girlfriend had a little drawing that she put up on our wall, and after 6 months, she took it off, and some of it was covered, and so I got to see like the dust actually collect onto the drawing itself, and I was like, wow, like the color and the vibrance really changes with some of the stuff.
And
um, so I like a little bit of like context to the people listening. I first joined the space around September of last year in 2020, and then I sort of like essentially went and started following everybody in the space and the people who I thought were cool, and then I stumbled upon your account back. I think like one of the very first few accounts that I ever followed was yours into the NFT space, and I remember essentially at that time you had a day job, no?
yes, yeah. I left that a few months back.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah,
I so to the people who don't know, like I was at my job the day you tweeted out that you were quitting your job, um, and that
yeah,
to me that was like such a motivational thing to see because I was like, damn, all right, it's happening. People are actually like moving into the to like the art thing completely. But I was actually curious, like what was your job before? Like what was your job? Sorry, excuse me. What was your
Oh,
day job like?
it wasn't anything important or interesting. Yeah, I worked as a cashier at a supermarket. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I've had the same.
yeah.
I used to be at a cook. I used to make salads and chilies.
Oh no, yeah. Like I've had about like I think around 10 jobs since I started, like yeah, working, and my jobs have been in a bar,
Mm.
in a restaurant, in another restaurant, in another bar, in a cafe, in a supermarket. So it's just like yeah, I haven't really haven't achieved a lot in that like aspect of my yeah.
No, I felt when in my jobs I felt the same way. It's I thought getting a job at an art store would, you know, be cool as an artist, and it was not. It was the worst thing on the planet. I never knew you could hate the names of oil paints as much as I do now. um,
Uh,
but the only reason I bring up the job is so like I noticed sometimes like day jobs do deter from the artistic practice, right? And it sucks to have like a 9 hour break between what you want to artistically do and then you have to go eat, relax. And in your case, like, happen to have sit with like with your kid, and then after all of that, focus on art. But I wanted to ask you, like, did you think at all, like, so from my experiences, at least in my job, and from I'm talking about kitchen work because that's all the jobs that I've had. It's mainly kitchen, except for there are jobs. Do you ever have you ever felt that like some of those day jobs have helped in your artistic process at all, or no, or is it just like fuck? I want to get the fuck out of here and go paint.
um, yeah, no. I mean, financially, yeah. Um, but yeah, just I think sometimes when I was at work, I'd like be sat there and I'd kind of zone out and think about like either the current painting that I've got going on or
Mm.
one that I'd want to start. So like I did like spend a lot of my time sort of daydreaming about like yeah about art and stuff. So I guess it kind of helped a bit. Like it kind of like gave me like 9 hours to just sit and think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did have a bar job where I was like in the daytime the bar was completely dead. There was no customers, so I'd like sit at the bar and just doodle and doodle.
Yo,
So
nice. I
yeah,
wish I was at the back of house, so I was on the opposite side getting screamed at for not washing my stuff correctly at times. It's I remember it's sometimes good to have those like little downtime moments to draw every once in a while. Um, um, so I was I, I was going through your paintings on your website. My own curiosity piqued because of your use of AR. Just because you're one of the very first people I saw into the space that actually uses AR, and I wanted to like personally like so I'm a sketcher and I'm a drawer by nature, right? So if I wanted to sit down and I wanted to make a painting, for example, I'll like draw it and I'll sketch it and then I'll go online and I'll pick my sources and then I've I've like from my conversations with like other people I've had where some people don't do that at all, and I was actually curious about what your process to starting a painting is because of how wild your paintings are. So it's like because sometimes I'll be in a museum and I'll like get up close to a piece and I'll stare at it and I'll try to think of like the processes and the steps it took to get to the painting. But with yours, man, I'm just sit there and be like, how in the world do you? It fascinates me, and I was just curious, like, what's the process like? Do you just
um,
throw it on the canvas, or like do you sketch? Like, is it movies? I mean,
yeah, no, um, yeah. So basically, I don't plan it out at all. So I have like the white canvas, and then I just sort of like start painting, and
mm,
then like normally I'd paint out like one bold background, like color. So like whether it's white or black or like red or something. Um, and then I just kind of like just yeah, I just start putting paint onto canvas and not
Mm-hmm.
really thinking about what I'm and then like eventually like forms will start to like appear,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of like yeah, just go from there. It's like it's 100% random, and then I sort of like at points I sort of like turn the things into like faces or
Nice. Do you I'm guessing like is it do you ever have or so you said that sometimes like the forms come up and then I'll try to do the same thing when I'm painting and my professors used to call it letting it loose and I still think that's a weird term but I would it's like letting it loose like okay I'm gonna
let
start
it
dead.
loose.
um, weirdly enough I had a professor that loved the underpaintings of everybody and then would just like look at the final ones and be like it's not loose enough, it's not free enough, and I would be like, but I can't submit the underpainting as the final painting, my man's, and he's like, but yeah, you know, like the feelings, and I'm like, okay, and um, I'm looking at here, let me get the name of it. Actually, I have a bunch of your paintings up on my computer, and I'm looking at the Visitor Part 3, because that's one of my favorite paintings of all time. Like, I was looking at it when you posted it first, and I was like, holy fuck, dude! Like, damn, death! Like you fucking you're doing it out here, you know? And it just and then I noticed, like so when you said that you just like paint on the canvas like randomly, do you just like do you the base color? Do you just put that and then work in layers like foreground, or is just like blobs and shapes and then whatever happens?
Um, it depends on the painting. So with the visitors, basically,
Mm.
I started on a black background, and then I do a layer of whatever color. So I
Mm.
think with the first visitor and the second one, it was phthalo green. Um,
It's a beautiful
and
color, by the way. It's a
yeah,
really
yeah, it
nice
is.
color.
Yeah. And with the third one, it was I think it was just uh, a a vi- uh, a violet. So yeah, like a purple. Um, and then when I've done that, like I get some white, and then I in the center I sort of like paint a circle sort of,
Mm.
and then sort of like blend that so it's like a big light that
For the sky,
shines.
for the like the
Yeah,
moonlight.
yeah, yeah. Or you get like the like background light thing. And I actually learned that from a Bob Ross uh, video. So
I, I was literally about to bring Bob Ross. I was gonna say like you ever watch any Bob Ross videos?
yeah, yeah, no, like back in my college days, we would just like smoke a lot and just watch Bob Ross and then like paint along and stuff. So
Hey,
yeah,
dude, that makes me so happy. I'm not the only one who did that.
yeah.
Bob Ross is solely responsible for teaching me how to paint clouds. It's actually insane. Um, it's just like, do you think do you watch a lot of Bob Ross now or no?
No, no, I haven't really watched it like for yeah,
Did you
like
know
a
that?
long time.
Did you know that none of his paintings are for sale? Like nobody owns
Oh,
his paintings. Like not a single person owns a Bob Ross paintings. They're all like, I think in the Bob Ross Institution or something like all in boxes,
okay.
which is like actually insane to like think like this man who's responsible for helping all of us like learn some element of painting. All his artwork is just in boxes. It's wild.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. Like, yeah, I thought he would have like at least like sold some while he was like recording it, but
I would have
huh.
I would have thought so too. And then what? I watched a documentary about it, and it just said apparently he didn't. And the weird thing is, he used to paint three versions before. So like apparently like he would come up with his own little version for the show, and then he would have that in front of him, and then he would paint that on the TV like for the show, and then he would have a third one that's the finalized version that would be shown at the end. And I was like, what the hell? That's
Yeah,
insane. um,
yeah. I think like I've tried to like uh, uh, replicate a painting once, and yeah, it didn't really go as well as I yeah.
do you do a lot of study like because I see you do your man, I'm a pretty big fan of your odd blobs. I think
Yeah, yeah.
I just could never afford one because my Rarible has been dead for like 3 months, and
No, yeah, like yeah, mine's been the same. Yep.
and like, do you draw like every day now? Well, I imagine like you make art every day, like
Yeah.
you're an artist now. But like, do you sit and like intent on like studies? Because like that's what I do sometimes. I'll be like I'll sit there and I'll be like, all right, I'll be like dedicating an hour to just like copying something or doing that. Do you do that or nah?
I try that, but I can never seem to stick to schedules at all. So like I do plan to like sort of like segment my days and just like be like I'll do an hour on this, an hour on that,
Mm.
and then I just kind of do the first thing and then get carried away with that, and then I'm like, yeah, whoops.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, so,
And I imagine having a kid, and that doesn't help when he jumps on like.
oh no, yeah,
Yeah, I have to say, like, what is it? That tweet thread that you made was pretty cool. Where it's like, what was it? Where it's like you asked us to say something, and then your kid responded to it, and it was
yeah,
like
yeah,
that was actually hilarious. I was like, damn, it's it's like I was like, your kid's pretty funny, man.
yeah. I
um,
think all of he did was just like if I showed him something, he'd like he'd either say dragon or butterfly or cat or yeah.
do you ever paint any of the stuff that he does like in your paintings? Oh, sorry, like the stuff he talks about in your paintings, or no? Because
Not yet. No,
no.
no,
Oh,
no. I probably should try that. Yeah.
yeah, that would be a little cool collab to see, like death and the the child of death. That just that sounds cool as hell.
Out of death,
The child of death is.
born of death. Oh.
Oh, it's holy cow. Um, well, so I wanted like my this will lead me. I have a little list of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and this would actually lead me to inspiration, because like I'm pretty sure like anybody who's listening to this and you have noticed that a lot of us like who joined the space, right, have like some form of inspiration, and I was a little bit curious about yours because like, man, I'm a big fan of like so I'm looking at again. I have Visitor 3 up on my screen, and I don't know which one is my favorite. If it's the alien sort of dudes in the background, or if it's the little like it balloon floating in the middle. And I was just like wondering like, do you just like get your stuff from like popular culture, or like is it movies? Because sometimes I'll be watching a YouTube video and I'll see a nice little screenshot, and I'll take, or like a little frame, and I'll pause it, take a picture of it, and use that as my reference for my paintings. And I was just curious.
Yeah, I think it's but there's quite a bit of pop culture in some of my works. Like for the visitors, like
Mm.
the you'll see like um there's like a black figure with like a white face.
Yeah.
Um, like that's from the Spirited Away. So it's uh what's his name?
Me.
No
Me.
face. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's like that guy came from there. In the visitors that you were talking about, like in the front, you've got the like spider,
Mm.
like alien. That's from the the thing. Um,
The wait, the movie,
so
The Thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's the head spider. I think it's called. Yeah.
I've actually
Uh,
that movie's on my list still. I have not seen it at all.
oh, you've got to watch it, man. Yeah.
Is it? Do you have a thing for like a? Hold on. Is it an '80s movie? I actually don't know. It's.
I think it's
It is.
18. I think so. Yeah.
Are you a fan of '80s horror movies? Like those like.
Yeah. Yeah.
N- have you ever seen
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, man. No, it's cool. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Phantasm?
No, actually, I think I've heard of that.
I'll send you the link to that after we finish. It's that was my introduction into like B grade '80s horror movies, and I was like, wow,
Right.
it's a gem. Like this genre is a beautiful gem. But yeah, sorry to interrupt. And then I was actually curious, like, what's that tree with the fire thing on it? I have no idea what that is.
Um, Me neither. I kind of like I created it at some point, but I'm not sure what I created it from.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just keeps on like popping back up in like paintings.
I,
So yeah.
I sort of do the
Uh,
same. Yeah, and I sort of do the same thing. I come up with stuff and I'm like, huh. Well, this will just kill, and it will make its way into my other works, and I'll be like, I still don't know what this is, and I just give it like a name, like that something, and then I'm like, yeah, cool. um,
yeah.
what? So, well, then I'm curious. From all like the pop culture I see here, it's well, are there any? Is there any like stuff like recently that you're gonna put into your future works? Um, Specifically like I don't know, like new movies or new comics, or have you been like keeping an eye
Um,
on? Has like anything in the new popular mainstream culture like caught your eye? Because it's like I mean like Bored Apes or anything or nah.
I don't really sort of do that kind of thing. Like, I think for like pop culture, it's kind of stuff that I'm personally
Mm.
interested in, and I'm really stuck in like yeah, stuck in the like 80s and like 90s. So yeah, it's like I don't really do any like recent sort of pop culture themes at all. So yeah.
So okay, what's so like I me personally I get excited about the 80s, but I actually don't know. Maybe it's because I was born in the 90s, like I was born in 1998. But I always say this as a joke on Twitter that the 90s hit Egypt in the 2000s because I still used VHS tapes and rotary phones. But like, what about the 90s intrigues you? Like I actually don't remember anything from 90s culture like personally, so I have no idea.
Okay. Well, the oh, one sec.
Mm.
The music, like I think most bands that I listened to
Okay.
from the 90s, it's just yeah, like a lot of movies that like is yeah, it's all from the 90s.
Okay.
I think like I'm
Oh, hello. Uh, Death, you cut out there. Hello. Oh,
hello.
sorry. Yeah, you cut out there for a
Uh,
second.
yeah, I think my mic cable thing came
Oh.
out, so sorry.
Uh, yeah, I
Oh,
think you're back. It's good now.
yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Um. Well, okay. Let me ask you, what's your like favorite '90s cheesy movie? Do you have?
Um,
Is that too broad of a question to ask for like 10 years of movies?
cheesy.
Or like I don't know. Maybe, like what's your favorite '90s movie?
Think of one from the top of my head.
Because
If it's got Nick Cage, then yeah.
Nick, yo, nice. Nick, actually,
I'm a big Nick Cage like fan.
Nicholas Cage
So
is Nick Cage is actually insane. Like his,
he is, yeah.
it,
No,
it,
it's like like method of acting is yeah, it's just
It,
like insane. Yeah.
I like. Have you seen any of his recent movies?
Not recent, no, no, yeah.
Oh man, so there's this random movie on Netflix called Jujitsu
Okay.
where he plays like what is it, this jujitsu trainer who is supposed to and like this is like the most hilarious thing you'll ever hear. Like even I'm thinking of like I need to make a painting of just the setting of this because it's too funny. But he goes, there is this like alien dude that appears in a portal every 9 years to have a jujitsu battle. Otherwise, he'll destroy the planet. And Nicolas Cage is responsible for training the dude into fighting the alien guy to save the planet. And it's like the dumbest movie I've ever seen in 2020 or 2021.
And that's on Netflix,
I
or
yeah, it's on Netflix.
wait, I'm gonna watch that. Yep. Cool.
It's like all like how old is Nicolas Cage? Give me 1 second, because it's like you can tell he's like a little bit old in the movie, but and like you can tell when they use stunt doubles and stuff, and it's like wow. um,
He must be like in his 60s or
I
something. Yeah.
he's 57 years old.
Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
And he's still doing all the movies he wants to do. That's actually insane. Um,
Yeah.
would you
Oh,
ever?
I've actually I've done some Nick Cage paintings before. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Are they on your website?
No, no, they're in my
In the
stashed
storage?
away game. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
I think it's
man.
called Nick Cage Goes on Holiday 1 and Nick Cage Goes on Holiday 2. So yeah.
That sounds vague enough that I can imagine Nick Cage doing anything. What? Okay, my.
Yeah.
Please, if you ever come by them, please send me a picture. I would love to see them. That's.
Of course, man. Yeah.
Well, here, would you? So if I've been seeing a lot of like talks about, you've heard about Arabian camels, right? The like the
I've
it's
heard of Arabian camels,
like
or
like the NFT
oh
collectible.
no, no, I have not. No.
So it's like this random collectible like built on Arabian camels, but like the thing in them is like they're funding a movie, and it got me sitting there one time, and I was thinking of like essentially when places like Hollywood fully enter the NFT space, and like when utility makes its like full form, like right when it's like when utility is like fully out there in the space, like do you think you'd ever like participate in like an NFT movie type thing?
Nah, I don't
No.
think so. No. Like my work is just kind of mine. I can't really
Oh, sorry. No,
like.
I didn't mean like as in you working for the movie. I meant like as in
Oh,
like you
okay.
purchasing like an NFT movie ticket.
Oh, interesting. Still probably not. No, I
No,
don't think would. No,
even if it's
I
like a Nicolas
don't know.
Cage ticket.
If it's a Nicolas Cage ticket, I might consider that. But yeah, it's just I like to collect like paintings and stuff, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure if like I mean I barely go out, so um
do you have do you have like any of your NFTs up on that you've bought up on your wall? Because like I've been seeing people of like those screens that you just like mount on your wall and they display the NFTs. Do you have any of those or?
yeah, no, I've not got one of those. I do like occasionally put like one of my favorites is like my desktop,
Mm.
like desktop background, but yeah, I've not got any like fancy electronic screens at all. So
Um, funny. I was walking in the museum today. I walked into the elevator and I saw a screen, and the first thing I thought to myself was like, there needs to be an NFT in the middle of this fucking elevator, for no reason whatsoever other just to use up the screen. um, and so like I said like you're using AR in your work, right? And sort of like that, that sort of work is viewable on screens, right? It sort of has to until the technology evolves beyond what's capable. But I wanted to ask because essentially, like me personally, I'm starting to look for far more utility in the space than before, and then the utility that is in the space is currently expanding and evolving. And I wanted to ask, like, what's like what future do you see sort of for like your NFTs, or like what sort of utilities, if any, are you looking into? Because like I know a lot of people now, it's like especially since the last shakeout, like the most recent shakeout, a lot of people have left the NFT space, and so like we always see on Twitter now is the time to build, and I was just curious like are you building or I don't
Um, yeah, I'm kind of trying to teach myself Blender at the moment, so I can kind of get like a whole like 3D.
know.
Um, so like at the moment, my AR is sort of two-dimensional, so I'd like to sort of like yeah, like make it 3D, and also I want to do a lot more work in like the like metaverse, like I want to get some galleries and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
uh,
Oh, and I also want to
mm.
get a what you call them, the headsets, so you can do some like painting.
Oh, like a
It's
VR.
pretty sick. Yeah,
Oh, I've seen those. It's it's insane. It's actually
yeah.
wild,
It does look like a lot of fun. So
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's like have you thought about dynamic NFTs like async? Uh,
I have thought about that. Yeah, it's just I've not really got round to doing it. So,
and
but
I'm the same way.
mm,
It's sorry.
yeah, I'd love to give that a go. Like, it's just the the technical side of it, I don't really know much about. So, but I think with async, it's pretty straightforward. I think I had a quick look at the website, but
Yeah, no, async is. I was showing it to a few friends of mine, um, and they were like, "Wow." And funny enough, I was asking on the Discord, on the MetaKey Discord earlier enough, how to code your own dynamic NFT because I didn't want to apply to async and go through the waiting time.
uh,
Because I don't know, like how do you feel like? Well, so I know you're on super rare, but it's like to me it's like holy cow. I don't think it's. Do you think it's worth it to like try to still to apply to some of these places, especially like when they offer like new utility, or is like the wait time no longer worth it? Like, because it's like sometimes I look at like applying to places and I'm like, oh god, it's no, it's the time is done. Like, what? How do you feel about that?
I mean, you could still apply. Like,
Mm.
you've not really got anything to lose. So, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like since a lot of people left the space, like
Mm.
the doors seem to be opening up for more. So like yeah,
I see.
I think like yeah,
Sorry.
it's it's I think like it's worth to give everything like
Mm.
give everything uh, I can't say the word. Oh no.
It's okay. I mean,
But,
like, I like, so, well, how do you, okay, well, I'll narrow it down a little bit. Like,
yeah.
because I'm just curious, um, because I've seen, like, a lot of hate towards Nifty lately, right? You've seen that too, no?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, how do you feel about that? Like, just like, like artists, because, like, I was sitting there and I was like, man, it's, like, I sort of understand where like the exclusiveness and what Nifty was doing went wrong, and how that can like impact the future of us artists who want to work for them, right? Um, especially since like their drops sell out and they're able to like essentially like the way I looked at it is like if you get on Nifty and you sell out, you're sort of financially free for a little bit. But I was curious, like it's doesn't it seem a little bit fucking weird that out of nowhere everybody's just throwing Nifty under the bus? Like, or what do you think?
Yeah, it does sound a bit strange. I've not really been following that, like I've not really followed it that much. So, um,
Mm,
but in this space, like there's like speculation and rumors and things. It seems
mm,
to like because the space is so small, it travels around like so much. So, and there's a lot of like paranoia and stuff that I've noticed. So,
yeah,
um, I don't really pay much attention. So,
that's actually
and yeah, I've not really got any opinions of my own about it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Like my only opinion towards it is like or at least my only opinion hasn't changed since I joined the space. Mine has been um like you said, like it doesn't hurt to apply, and other than that, I also thought like if you don't make it, like just wait and work, and slowly you'll build it yourself, like the following and the work, like the enough body of work that when you apply you'll be accepted, right? It's just a matter of time. um if like, and it's like the shakeouts prove that, right? Because if you stay through like 2 3 shakeouts, you know, everybody knows who you are, people get to know you, and then it was just super weird because I was like, everybody's like, yeah, Nifty, and then 1 month Nifty's just under the bus, plummeting in secondary sales, and I'm like, whoa, this space moves at lightning speed.
Yeah, and I think I've
Sorry, you cut out again. Hello?
done like think we went up too fast, and then like right now we're just sort of yeah, it's sort of leveling out again.
I do agree with that. That was weird. Like
So,
seeing.
but I
Mm,
also want to say about like when you're applying and stuff, like it's
mm,
good to sort of like get to know everybody, find out who they like,
I see. Like in terms of like networking before you apply.
because like the more the platforms see you interacting with the big shots and stuff, then the more likely they are to.
I see. Oh, okay. Uh, hello, Death. Discord doing its thing. Can you hear me? Um, oh,
Oh, whoops! My internet went. Yeah.
oh, it's
Well,
okay. It's
which
okay.
which bit which bit did I cut out on, or?
So you had finished your point essentially at just if like the accounts of Super Rare and Nifty and all those like see you interacting with them and interacting with other accounts, you're more likely
Yeah,
to be accepted. Um,
I think that was about it. Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
like
it's just like,
mm,
no, what? Go on, then. Yeah.
and it's like so well. How do you feel about well? How do I phrase this essentially? Because it's like both of us are on Hen, and both of us like have sold on on Hen and have purchased on Hen. Um, is there like and the way I established my Hen collection is like my Hen collection is for my experiments and studies, right? It's not for my career body of works. Um, is it? And then how do you? And then I noticed like you say, it's like, and I started noticing in the space that with all these different platforms, like sort of the paranoia changes, but also the type of work changes from platform to platform, right? And it's like you'll find artists who are doing work on Super Rare, their work unwearable is a little bit different than the one being put there, and um, and it's like I've noticed it too, where it's like some of your work on Tez is a little bit different than the paintings that you put out on Super Rare, and I was curious, like, is it sort of along the same line of like my thinking of like this is experimental, or how do you choose like which goes to which collection exactly?
It's completely that, man. Yeah. So the work on my tez is
Mm.
100% digital.
Mm.
So there's no oil paintings involved. It's a lot of them is from my everyday days. So
Mm.
like where I've been like painting a picture every day on Photoshop. So I kind of take those and then I animate them. So it's entirely experimental. So and it takes me about a day to like make. So but with my super rare, that's
Mm.
just my oil painting slash animation. So and they take obviously quite a long time.
Oh, yeah. I, I, I believe me that the painting is. Do you varnish your paintings or no?
Hmm.
You do.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, once they're done and after they're dried, yeah.
So how long do you usually wait for your paintings to dry? Because I I haven't varnished a single oil painting of mine yet, and I was
You
curious.
probably should, because yeah,
But like, what's the drying time? Do you?
it depends. So it's normally around 6 months,
Oh, okay.
but if you leave them in like a warm spot, so like a cupboard with your boiler or something, um, then they dry a bit faster. So, but yeah, like on average, it's about six
I will
months.
I will do that because like from what is it from my painting experience, I've never had to varnish a painting. I like my painting. My professors like never cared about varnishing, and essentially it's carried on to me where it's like I don't sort of care about varnishing in the sense of I should, but like now I should.
Yeah. I forgot why I started varnishing. I think like I read it and like it's to like protect it. So, but I also find like after you varnish it, it sort of brings all the colors back
Yeah,
back out.
it makes them pop.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like after time, like the colors sort of dull down a bit. So,
Yeah.
but when you put on that layer of varnish, it's like it's like a brand new painting. So
Uh,
yeah.
I will get me some varnish, especially since my paintings have been sitting around collecting like dust and cigarette smoke, and well, not
Yeah.
say. um,
Are they acrylic or oil or?
so I I do both. My favorite thing to do is essentially like if I can, I'll start with an acrylic base and then move to oils on top and just go with that. Um, but honestly, since my professor introduced me to full oil painting in not grade, in third year painting, I have I haven't touched an acrylic in a while. Um, it's weird where it's like I've become this weird elitist to oil paints, and I think oil paints are superior than anything else.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like with acrylics, it's just like it dries too quick, and it's just you don't get like the same sort of texture as you would with oils. Like there's just something about like oil that I yeah
And
that
it's
I
just
love. Like
and the way oils blend too, just
mm,
it's like that's one of the reasons why I can't bring myself to digitally paint is because nothing can emulate the blending of oils. And
yeah.
I'm so aware of that I just keep fucking up because I can't like use the same techniques in my oil paintings and digital paintings, and I'm like, wait.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do something with my everydays where it's like I've I've downloaded some brushes, and like I'm like doing the different tools and stuff, and it's just like I'm trying to like get the same sort of the same feeling that I would be when I'm oil painting, but it's yeah, it's like so far I haven't found it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I've had like graphic tablets for 3 years and I haven't found it either. It's like having a. Do you have a graphic tablet with a screen or no?
No, no, it's just like a
Yeah, the
I
like
think
the.
it got given to me, so it's like a hand me down,
I,
and it's really small, so
oh, I so
yeah,
um like in general, like I found it a little bit easier if you get one with a screen, just for basic drawing, just because you don't have to deal with that hand-eye disconnect. Um,
mm,
but like that was my only
yeah,
question, because it's like I remember I had an Intuos Pro for 3 years, and one of the things that sort of like stopped me was just like the simple fact that I couldn't look at what I was drawing. Like I couldn't see my hand drawing what I was looking at. It's like that weird hand-eye disconnect. Um,
yeah.
but it's like
No, I should probably give that a go. Yeah, like getting a big one with a screen. Yeah.
and like you don't even I don't think you have to get like a Wacom Cintiq anymore. Like mine is a Huion. I've seen like a bunch of videos on it, and it does the job. Um, I'm actually, funny enough, I'm waiting for the technology to advance till we get a realistic brush engine before I jump into digital painting. And the closest thing that has gone to that is a weird program in VR that does spray painting, and it's the
Okay.
closest. It's like so. You know, like how Photoshop like does its drip and like its watercolor effects. And I don't know how the coders did it, but in this VR program, the actual spray paint behaves like normal spray paint, and I was like, wow. And it's like I think at least for like artists who are moving from like traditional to digital, like we're gonna struggle a little bit until like the brush engines themselves match the capacity of real life colors and paints, and then we'll be good, you know.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day, who knows, maybe one day we'll find ourselves actually mixing paint in a palette in VR. That would be cool, no?
Pretty awesome, man. Yeah.
um
And it will probably cost me a lot less, and it'll be a lot less mess, and
right.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
so
man, yeah.
actually this leads this is a good this pricing like this is a good topic to bring up. Do you think, so personally, when I talk to my friends and try to bring them on to NFTs, my biggest thing now is like it doesn't matter how small your painting is, right? You can display it in the biggest format possible in the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
And in the sense of like now we're messing around with a medium that takes a lot of the costs that we would as artists have to pay out of the game, right? So it's like in case like I mean, if say for if you were having a digital show, right? You don't have to mail your painting there. You don't have to pay for the shipping fees, the cost fees, none of
Yeah.
that. And on top of that, if you wanted to make it big as hell, you can, right?
Yeah.
And so my question is like, do you think that since joining NFTs, your spend like your budget for art itself, like on art materials, has went down or has it gone up? And it's like when I say that, like I also understand that you became a full time artist, right? So you're spending, your like some of your spending is now going directly into your job as a full time artist, right? But do you like how do you view it, like essentially, like do you think you would have been spending more money on art supplies if you weren't messing with NFTs or no?
Um, no, I've definitely started spending a lot less on on physical art supplies. So yeah, it's like since I started NFTs, I'm like effectively creating like two different paintings because I do one physical and then I
Mhm.
take that and then put it into Photoshop and then I've got to cut all the bits out and then put it into After Effects and then like move those about. So
Oh,
like I'm making a painting and then I'm making an animation. So it's like it takes me like twice as long like for each piece that I've so
I see. Oh, yeah, no,
whereas before Nifters I would paint a painting
and
and then I'd paint another painting. So
I
it's
see.
like yeah.
I
So I
actually,
think in that sense it's yeah it's kind of yeah like sort of cut it into yeah.
and I imagine your oil paint tubes are thanking you for that.
Yeah.
Are oil paints expensive in the UK? I
Uh, yeah, I think for like I forgot what size I get. I get those big paints and they cost around like £15. So
so the big tubes.
yeah, I think it's like 200 mil.
Okay.
Not,
What
not certain.
which paints do you use?
Whichever paint I find, I normally go to a shop called um Hobby Craft, and they sell like I think it's Dalarowni. Um,
Dalaroni. I
am I pronouncing that right or Daleor and then r- roundy? I'm gonna have to Google it. Oh no, the
I'm
Dala something. Yeah.
I'm googling it as well. Um, in Canada, all we
Uh,
get
they,
Dale. Oh,
the Dalarowni or
yeah.
something or yeah. Yeah, like I've not really experimented with different brands, so it's just like I kind of buy whatever I find.
Oh,
I've not really found like like a certain paint that I'm like really passionate about. So
oh, I see. And yeah, I'm looking at Della. I'm looking at the paints. That's I've never heard of this brand. What?
it
In,
might be like an
I
English
think
like
it might be the so in Canada all we get is we get like the typical Windsor Newton oils. We
but
get
yeah,
the
use those yeah.
we get the Windsor Newton student versions, which are just ass. And then M Grams. I to this day I actually don't know who M Gram is. I know all his paints. I know he makes watercolor, gouache, and oils, but I don't know who the guy is. And and then we have Van Gogh, which is a pretty like it's the typical like student paint type thing that we use that I used. But then we have there's this oil paint supplier called Kama Pigments in Montreal that does their own paints. And when I first used it, that was essentially my first time like going to a store, and I was going like, all right, cool, give me a professional oil paints tube. And the difference that I saw in both like it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, whoa, and it's like I figured out so because I went to my professor at that time and I was like, how can this purple be so good and while this other purple be so bad? And he went and he's like, yeah, because it's like the student version and the professional version, but like the science form of it is like one is so pigmented that you don't need a lot, and then the other one barely has any pigment. And
Okay.
like to me, ever since then, all my white oil tube paints are no longer strong enough. It's like my white oils are just dull compared to some of the paints that I have. Um, and then well, do you have some student oils or is it all what the, I'm just like I always ask artists who paint like what their collection of oil paints are just because I'm genuinely curious about the brands
Um, yeah,
other than Dale Brownie Brownie sorry.
yeah. So I think I've got some. Is it Windsor
Mm.
Newton, whatever? Yeah, I've got some of those. Um, I think that's about it. Like, I don't. I really should. Like, after hearing you talk about it, I really should invest in some better paints. So,
I mean
yeah. I think I'm gonna experiment and order something, and yeah,
I
I'll
oh
let you know, man.
I, please let me know. I like it's you'll see the difference immediately with like a like again like I'm looking at Dale Brownie and it's they're looking like they're professional oil paints, so you won't see a like you might not see a big difference, but in like uh, you'll see a difference. I'm pretty sure. Like some like even from paint to paint, you'll see a different. But also, if you ever get your hands on old oil paints, that shit is fire. Like
Okay.
like it's it's so pigmented and it sucks to say, but like the enforcement and the regulations on what oil paints and what goes into oil paints back then were non-existent in a way to where some of the paints if you like get them on your skin will give you cancer and shit, but they're so good as colors that it's insane, right? And so if you ever see like this is just like a little thing I'm throwing out there is like if you ever see like oil paints that are old, um, I recommend picking those up. Like usually like in garage sales or whatever. Like those are gold. We like
Cool,
it's. I've had an oil paint that's older than me that's just like so strong and I'm like wow what the hell.
man. Right. So
uh,
kind of like well, wine. So like wine gets better with age than
yeah, oh absolutely. It's like my professor was a little bit jealous because I found it honestly is like the oil paints as they age it's they get wild. It's oh man, I could sit and talk to you about oil paints for hours. Don't even get me started. um, so we're getting close. I had submitted a link to the Discord chat if they had any questions specifically for you, um,
hmm.
and we have three, which is actually
Oh
cool.
wow.
Yeah, because
Nice.
right,
Uh-oh.
I was like, I posted it and I was like, I don't. These people don't know who I am. They think like, who's this dude starting an artist talk? But we got three questions. Let's go.
Sweet.
um, the sad thing is I don't have names, so I can't thank who asked the questions. But um, rest assured, whoever asked the questions and is listening, your questions are being answered at the moment. And so the first question I have is I'll just read it out is how do you secure your mentality as an artist? Example processes to get into a flow state.
Um, huh?
So
uh,
I think like
so like
what the question is asking is like what's your like setup process to get yourself into the 4 hour painting session where you don't feel the 4 hours?
okay. There's nothing that I really do beforehand. Have a coffee. Yeah, no, just I think because I enjoy it so much, I don't really need to like prepare mentally.
you
Um,
you just
I
sit and
can just
go.
yeah, and then like I don't even watch the time at all. Like it's just yeah, I start whenever I want. I finish whenever. I just kind of enjoy the the journey a
Mm.
bit. Like so from like white canvas and then you're like filling it. Um, yeah, there's nothing I really do to prepare myself. It's just yeah.
You know, hey, it's. I mean, like that means you've, like you said, like earlier, you've been doing this for 10 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that to me. Like the flow state is like the nicest thing to be in while you're painting. Um, my body sort of hates me because my brain will be like, Tarek, go for or like Anubis, go for a smoke, and then I won't go for a smoke for 3 hours because I'm there drawing. Um,
Yeah.
but it's. Mm,
Something that I do is like every now and then I just do like 10 push-ups.
oh.
So, because like when you sat there for hours, like your like limbs become stiff and stuff. So it's kind of good to just sort of have a stretch, like do something physical.
actually,
do that.
I will do that. Wow, I didn't even. That sounds like a good idea. That sounds like a
Yeah,
really good
yeah,
idea. um, the only thing I have to add to like the answer to the question is like me personally. I just start scribbling on a sketchbook until, like you say, like forms start to show up, and then I'm in the flow state. I'm drawing the forms, and then
yeah, yeah,
it's 3 hours gone. I'm like, oh, it's midnight.
yeah. Yeah, it's because like the way I paint is effectively just sort of scribbling, but
Mm.
with paint. So yeah, yeah,
It's I have to tell you, like a lot of people in my university would be, and I guarantee you, are if they know your work, are jealous of it because man, like we go in university, we go so hard to learn how to technically paint that we forget how to have fun and like essentially use the scribbles to our advantage. And your work, like man, it's like just like the depictions and the colors and your use of colors like would make some of the students, like some of the students that I went to university with, like mad as hell. Like actually, like they would be furious, not because it's bad, but because of how good it is, because it'd be like, what the hell, man. Because like sometimes I'll look at your work and be like, oh my god, like what the hell, death, like why you gotta do this, like what, why. um but yeah. The second question we have is, what would you have become if you weren't an NFT artist, or if you weren't, sorry, if it wasn't for art and NFT?
um, wasn't for art. Oh no.
Yeah, it's one of those
I,
what if questions.
yeah, like I've got no clue. I guess when I was younger, I used to like, um, I used to want to be a zoologist. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, that's
Like, I
cool.
just wanted to work at a zoo and like feed the monkeys and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, that's cool. That's
so maybe I would have followed that. But I think, like, realistically, I'd probably be working in a supermarket, maybe. Yeah.
uh, it's a good that I it's like to me it's a well, to say this to the person who asked the question, like it's good to like entertain what ifs, right? And like what if the person didn't do this, what if the person didn't do that. But also it's like, instead of asking what ifs, I would recommend like some people also ask like what is this person doing that has put them there, instead of asking the what if, right? Because
Mm.
sometimes knowing the work that it took for you to get there is far more informative than knowing the situation you would have been in than if you didn't do the work to get, does that, I think, hopefully that makes sense. um,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
and then our last question, and this is a hard one, um, even for me to ask, because I don't, like, this is a question that people have asked me and I'm like, well, oh shit. um, so I'll ask it to you, but it doesn't have to be in one word. uh, you can try, but it's, if you have to explain your art in one word, what would it be? Yeah, it's
Um, to explain it in one word, what would it be? Weird, I guess. Yeah.
all
Let's go with
right.
that. We- Weird.
Weird. All right. It's it's yeah. It's those questions. Uh, it's like I mean, it's, I think it's fun to try to classify our like classify our art to one word, but it's like also
Yeah.
ask. It's almost equivalent to asking a musician like what their favorite song is. It's like, oh, it's impossible. Too many words come to
Yeah.
mind.
Like sometimes you just kind of need like more than one like word because like you just sort of need to explain it a bit more. But
Well,
yeah.
well. Here, let me extend it then into like what would you describe, like, I don't want you to like explain your whole art because that's unfair for like for you to essentially distill all of your paintings into one theme and one point. But like, what do you like to address in your art? Or like like wh- like say I'm a person who doesn't know you and you're talking to me about your art. Like what themes are most like prominent in your work that you would tell people that are like sort of representative of your overall body of work? Is that
Yeah, like aliens
mm,
and supernatural and um, I'd say the word subconscious.
s-
Yeah,
sub?
just in fact, I should have said subconscious for the first like question,
Well,
because yeah, the things that I make is just all like subconscious. I don't think about it. I just paint it. So yeah,
no, that's a good answer. That's a really good
yeah.
answer, actually.
I'm gonna go back to the one answer, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna say subconscious.
there you go. There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, it's actually uh, that's very. Man, I want to say that's far more informative um, than what people think, but I don't know if the viewers have your paintings up because I have like five across my screens, and so when you say subconscious, like I understand what you mean, and um, like I think it's a very good answer to the one word question to the one word answered question.
I've kind of I've done paintings where I've like painted something and I don't know what it is at all, and then like about 2 months later, I look at it, I start looking at all the bits and then putting them together, and I'm kind of like, oh, this painting's about like, yeah. So it's yeah, like so sometimes the meaning isn't instant. It just comes like whenever I notice it. Yeah. So
It's, hey, I mean, and um, to me, it's like one of the things to like to add to the point of sometimes you waiting with the like looking at your paintings like 2 months after. Like one of the things my professors used to tell us is sometimes it can be helpful in a painting to just take a break, like even if it's like a month, even if it's a year from a painting, you know, because then you look at it with a fresh set of eyes. You've had some new experiences that you might have not had before that will help inform you of like, oh, maybe this can turn into this, or oh, I was thinking of that when I was painting this, and um
yeah,
it's
no,
it,
yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah,
all right.
yeah. I sometimes leave a painting for yeah like weeks, and then I'd go back and yeah have like a fresh head, and yeah.
I do the same. I've had an MF Doom project on hold since I found out he passed away, and I I look at it and I'm like, oh, and then I'm giving myself enough time to actually like develop the skill to then tackle the painting because I'm too scared to like paint it and then for it to turn out bad and then be like, oh, but yeah, this is all to say it's good to get to the listeners who are here to that it's good for us to give um, our work some time just to sit there. You know, it will help bring new thoughts and new eyes to the work, even if it's like even like again like really even if it's a year or more. Like some paintings will sit there for 3 4 years untouched by some artists.
Yeah,
Then
I've got about like six paintings that I've just yeah just sort of left on the back and not really yeah.
yeah, I have the same. They're staring at me now, and I will I will just look away. um, well, thank you very much for coming on, Death. I really appreciate this, man. Um, this has been very informative as a fan of your work, but also to the listeners and future listeners of your work and who you are as a person, as an artist. Um, it's actually wild Like man, like I this went far better than I expected it to go as a first time thing. Legitimately, um, I was scared. I was like, oh boy, I haven't talked about art to another artist like sort of in this context before, but I think it went very well. Um,
Yeah, this is like the first time that I've like spoken to anybody about my art. So yeah, I was nervous. I think I finished like half a bottle of whiskey since talking as well. So yeah, I'm gonna sleep well tonight, man.
yeah. Hey, it's Sunday. I mean, and you are death, so I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a state of rest. So.
exactly. um, I, so like the last thing I want to leave with is do you have anything to say to the people who are listening, or any news to share to people, or any like any exciting anything you want to let anybody who's listening know?
Um, just like uh, I don't know. Just take it easy. Don't worry about things, and everything's gonna be all right. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean
Oh,
to put. Yeah.
I've got another work coming out in about 2 weeks as well on Super Rare. Also, I've got three more available on Super Rare, so check those out. Yeah, and that's about it.
I will look forward to that work. Um, 2 weeks, new work coming from Death himself in 2 weeks. You all heard it here. Um, this is the scoop. I don't know. um,
It's the scoop.
um, well, again, thank you for coming on to the talk. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
this. It's been
It's
super
been all
fun,
man. Yeah.
and well, I'm pretty sure like as more talks happen, we will have you on. Um, I'm
Yeah, man. Let's do it again. Yeah.
and it's like I'm a person like I'm a big believer of like meeting with people over periods of time as their work evolves and as they evolve, because then it's like you get to see how they were in one place and then they're in this next place, and so that will you will definitely be hearing from me again. um, and yeah.
Yeah, man.